Hello one and all, it's that time again. And this is going to be another one of my rants. I'm going to try and keep as calm as I can and not get too crazy. So, this is the thing. I wanted to, I've put videos out before about Age of Sigmar. And they were really controversial. And, it got a lot of disagreement and a lot of people came in against me on this. And then I made a reaction to a lot of the comments that were made to try and clear that up. And I think enough time has passed that I can now come in and give a real retrospective, decision on whether I think it works or not. So let's just be very clear here. My issue, and I've argued this with other people as well, and they've given me their comments as well, which tend to be along the same lines as the comments on the videos. So I'll try to reproduce them in this video and then react to them as kind of to capture as many of you as I can in that. Age of Sigmar as a setting. Actually, let's leave the setting bit alone for the moment. So, it's a new set of mechanics. It's mechanics that can grow and become something and, develop. Seems fine. Seems okay, Skirmish game, bunch of auras. There's tactics to it. Seems okay. Model range, great. Great model range. Support for the old models coming back in, brilliant. Super. Pro all that, great. So just play the game, enjoy the models, leave it at that level. Now, when you've got a player like me, okay, I don't play like that. Okay, that's not my way. I'm more of a Jervis Johnson type. I'm more into the narrative side. I like the option to be able to tell stories, at least in my head. I like to imagine, well, this is kind of part of the setting and I'm competing in it. Every little game I play is within that context of what's going on with the setting. And the setting, after all this time of retrospection and, how it's developed, it still sucks. Age of Sigmar setting is just a massive mess. That's what it is. It's all over the place. It's just everything's dialed up in extreme. You've got the realms and all this, and oh my god, there's so much of this, and then you go to this other place and there's so much of that, and you go to this other place and oh my god, there's so much of that, and it's like a giant afterlife, which is effectively kind of conceptually what it is, except it's not. They're trying to say that this is a mortal existence, and I guess you have to kind of look at it as like that they're all trapped now in the series of Lost, where they are actually all just living a giant afterlife. Age of Sigmar is basically a big 7 or so season waste of time where you get to the final episode and it turns out that the twist is exactly what everybody said it probably should be, and therefore it can't be because it's too obvious from episode 1. But hey, anyway, I've got some notes here actually on my phone. So bullshit is another way to actually put it. Another player put it as the setting is bullshit. I like that one. Bullshit, yeah. Because there's nothing grounded in it. It is all just sort of like, whoa, that'd be cool, that looks cool, let's do it. Just like full on. There's no grounding, yeah, there in the narrative. Okay, and now I can see what a lot of you are going to be saying to this. I can probably come at it and enjoy it when I'm going to eventually play the game, because I like certain models or whatever, or want to actually try the tactical elements of the game, that's, you know, take it in small doses. Oh, well, you know, there's these in this strange world, but we're not going to think too much about the world they're in. Let's just concentrate on the small narrative of this army, and the battle, and take it no further. And I'm not normally that kind of person, but I'm being forced to be that kind of person here. So there's something wrong if that's having to take place, yeah? So treat it with like some nice models with rules, nothing more. Bad sign as far as I'm concerned. I put the argument out there, you know, whoever killed off the old world, made that executive decision, has made a mistake. Someone's responded to me and said, well, it's the fans that killed the old world. And I assume they mean not supporting the line financially like they could. But the issue I see with that, with, you know, why weren't you all spending God knows what? Well, GW's pricing model just went up and up and up. That's not the fans' fault. The range got really expansive. The rules got really bloated. Power creep was an ongoing huge problem. They put so many rules in there to try and encourage you to buy so many extra models and all the rest of it, so it got to ridiculous levels of having to play. They did this. They made those decisions. They employed people that wrote army books that were hugely overpowered, and then they had to try and fix it. I mean, it came to the fact that pretty much the Demons of Chaos army book practically killed the entire game, as far as I'm concerned, as far as from where I could see it, and they just had to wipe the entire game out because of an army book, essentially, right? Essentially. If you were there following it at the time, you'd know what I'm trying not to put the hate out to the one that wrote it. I'm not even going to mention his name. I'm not going to say it. We're not going to stir all that up again. Because if you stir the pot, he may appear. Oh dear. So, why couldn't... Okay, let's look at the commercial side of it. Whenever I make these kind of, oh, but the narrative, I feel let down by the narrative, I want to be able to do this and that with the narrative, I don't like this narrative, it's bullshit. People come back to me and say, yeah, but, you know, this sells better. It's been a huge commercial success. It's worked out great for them. Okay, you know, that's great, all right? As a company, they can go off and go their way, and that's fine, you know, and the fans of whatever, they'll still feel how they feel. Nothing can change that. And all we're doing is we're just saying, well, this is us still. We're still here. We still feel this way. You know, we were the originals and such. And I don't know. Even if I were just one voice and no one else agreed with me, it would still be so relevant. It would be more relevant, in fact, because it would be, you know, a unique point of view, which needs to be heard, surely. But here's where the real problem for me comes. Games Workshop, when people feed back to me on this, argue back and they say, yeah, but you know, they don't care about law, they care about money. Like that justifies it. And that would be fine if that was their line, if that was how they portrayed themselves, yeah? But they put elements of their game out that suggest that they do care about the law. So there's like a sort of disharmony going on, and we're left in ambiguity, surely, about how to treat this. Do the company care about the law or not? We can see that things like the novels come out, okay, and the range of novels, more expansive, obviously, in something like 40k, but still, the novels come out, and that all sets up and builds a lore. But with that built lore, what are they driving towards? You know, is it just a casual read? oh, I like that army, so I'll read that? Or are we looking at something more? Are we looking at like, well, you know, this is actually set up so that you can, all of these novels together are one entity, so that you can take the world as a narrative setting. Narrative setting being bullshit, of course. But you know, if you accept the latter, that they are trying to do that, then you are saying they do care about lore. And if you are saying they don't, then it makes the veneer come off immediately, the fact that what they're trying to sell the novels for. Because surely if you read a novel, you're trying to invest something, right, into the setting. Some sort of suspension of disbelief at that moment in time while you read it, yeah? There's got to be some element of that. And if you know that the company doesn't give a shit, why are you reading the book? And why are they even trying to ask you to read the book? By advertising it. So, I don't get it. What does GW actually think? Do they care about the lore or not? They don't appear to. All the comments I get back from people telling me to shut up because they don't care about the lore, I've got all this shit which counter-evidences it. And then they sign off and approve a role-playing game. You know, the new Warhammer Fantasy one by Cubicle 7. Now, I'm a big role-play gamer as well. Okay, so that, again, that will feed into the getting into the lore, getting into the story, into the world, into the characters within the world, how they've been changed and developed by the setting, playing them. Okay, and especially as a GM, where you have to really get into the setting to try and portray it to the players. I mean, this RPG came out post Age of Sigmar. And they've done an Age of Sigmar version and an Old World version. So I get the Age of Sigmar version, I get that. So what's with the Old World version as well? And they're still trying to support the dead world. And it's worse so. I mean, it's maybe less bad for things like the RTS games, and that, the Total War, Warhammer, which is the Old World, where they've done 2 of those, actually. There's a certain question that's got to be asked, just like, you know, you play all those games, at what point are you going to run out of Old World? You know, you push like, oh, it's Old World, we're still doing Old World games. You're going to eventually sort of say, well, come on, enough's enough. The Old World's dead. It's long dead. Stop making fucking games for it, right? Surely. But, you know, that seemed to be popular. That was a thing. That sold. I played Vermintide 2 on PS4 primarily because it is the closest experience I can get to my much loved Left 4 Dead, the co-op experience with people. And that's really, really. But, so without thinking too deep about it, I don't care about the narrative so much of it. That's my reasoning there. But, you know, coming back to the role-play game, how are you, as a player, supposed to play in the fantasy setting? I mean, how are you supposed to switch off? Normally I can switch off the meta voice. But how are you supposed to switch off that meta voice in you when you know that all the missions you're doing, all the campaigns you're playing in, everything that's been set up by the GM is ultimately leading to nothing? It's like Games Workshop have assured an existential crisis and a meta-nihilism within every single player that attempts the fantasy role-play game bloody series, who gives a shit enough about the narrative, and they must do because they're playing a bastard role-playing game in the first place. So it seems like they've got an entire amount of confusion towards their own damned audience. They don't know what they're doing. It's one of these... Yeah, it's beyond frustrating for me to see something like this that's, you know, broken down. So I'm just going to comment on it. I'm going to say bullshit. It's still bullshit. It's still over the top pappy looking stupid shit. Oh, you know, hey, bring back Gotrek Gurneson. Why not in the old world? Bullshit. And so forth, you know, there's so much bullshit. But until next time, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments disagreeing and all of that, and of course you can chuck them in as well, and then maybe I can collate them and put some sort of video response to that. But I'm just a fan, I'm just a voice, this is just an opinion, this is just what I think. Nothing you say is obviously going to undo my opinion. That's just my opinion, you can't change that. You may not agree with it, but, you know, hey, we're all different, right? You might like the setting, you might think it's rich enough for you in some ways, but, hey, you know, some people out there like the Phantom Menace, yeah? Some people out there could say maybe Jar Jar Binks is their favourite Star Wars character, you know, bully to you. I'll see you at the table.